He naturally saw the process as the last chance for the outcome of the 2021 World Championship to be turned around after a late call by race direction to allow the cars splitting Hamilton and Verstappen to unlap themselves under the safety car in the penultimate four. As such, there was a widespread feeling on social media that Mercedes let the fans down, or the team had been silenced by some kind of deal with the FIA. So why did the team not choose to appeal? It came down to two main factors. There was indeed a conversation with the FIA, but only insofar as the governing body agreed to launch a full investigation. They will come up with answers that the team wants. And secondly, team principal Toto Wolff and his colleagues recognised that however strong they felt their case might be, they weren't going to win it, and there would be no change in the race result or the championship. Rather than push on with an inevitably messy process that could damage F1 and the image of Mercedes, it was decided to call a halt to proceedings. After the race, I called John Todd, Peter Bayer, and said that I didn't agree with the decision. Wolff explained on Thursday. Of course, I knew it was purely personal emotion, because we had to sort out legal remedies and whether we could protest at halt or against what, and we did that immediately in my office. We got all the engineers, lawyers, Ola, just all together and decided to file the protest. Ron Meadows and the team went to see the stewards twice at the invitation of the stewards, and we waited for the decision, which was negative, and then it was a matter of going back to the hotel and sulking or thinking about what had happened, or on the other hand to celebrate an 8th constructors title with the team, and that's what I did, trying to push aside the frustration about the decision that cost the driver's title until the next day. Filing a notice of intent to appeal brought the team 96 hours in which to consider its option. The deadline was Thursday evening, by coincidence the same time as the FIA Gala, where Verstappen was due to get his trophy. We've spent all the time in the last few days being in dialogue with the FIA, with Lewis, Ola and his colleagues to make the right decision, and we've vindicated over and over again in those days between. We're going to go through with this appeal, and we're going to pull back to spot the anger and just try to make the sport better and use this moment to make the decision making more robust. The final decision to withdraw was made on Wednesday evening. He said, after the aforementioned dialogue with the FIA, any admission by the governing body that mistakes were made, Wolff stressed that there wasn't, which is no surprise. I think it's very difficult in such a situation to compromise your legal position, and I think the FIA, it wasn't clear if we would go all the way with this appeal, and therefore you cannot expect any admission. I think they have taken the right step. The President had convinced the World Motorsport Council to set up this commission in place to look at the incidents of the Abu Dhabi race and to avoid any situations going forward. All of us welcome the decision. I don't think it's easy. The statement of the FIA, when you understand the nature of the governing body, is a strong and robust one. Obviously, as a racer, you wish for the final admission, but at that stage it wasn't possible. I think we've taken a step in the right direction. It's a modest step considering the magnitude of the failures on Sunday night, but better to put a modest step than not. The bottom line is that Mercedes thought it wouldn't win at the course of appeal, suggesting that Wolff is in fact criticised the sports system, which was a bold step to make in public. We believe we had a strong case, and if you look at a form for a legal strike, it would have been a very good case in a regular court, almost guaranteed to win. But the problem was the ICE and the way it was structured. He said the FIA can't really mark their own homework, and there's a difference between it being right and obtaining justice. So there is a lesson to be learned. How can we make sure that going forward in situations like this, the right decisions are being taken? The verdicts from the stewards are responsible to the regulations and judgments in the courts, whether it's from the ICA or CAS, which is not currently part of the legislation, can be judged in a way that is fair and neutral. Wolff stressed Hamilton was personally involved throughout the process. Ever stepping in the way, it was joint decisions. We decided to stick together with Lewis to protest, launch an appeal and withdraw. As you can imagine, not only for him and also for us as a team, it was terrible to be confronted with this decision, but nobody wanted to win this championship on courtroom. But on the other side, we were deeply wronged on Sunday, and it wasn't just a case of a bad call, it was a freestyle reading of the rules, and it left Lewis sitting like a duck. It was tremendously hard for him and for us to withdraw the appeal, and we deeply believe that in F1, the pinnacle of motor racing was one of the most important sports in the world, justice being done. So my soul and my heart cries every bone that this should have been judged in the right way, and a legal situation would have given us the right, but there's a difference between right and obtaining justice. Wolff has sympathy with Hamilton fans who believe that Mercedes should have pressed on with his case as well, and said he can understand their frustrations. And to be honest, at the same time, I'm also in two minds between my perspective and judgment on the legal position and my realism. As I said before, the difference between being right and obtaining justice, and I don't think at the moment we are set up in terms of our governance to end the situation which would have given us a remedy that would have installed the right result and taken the race before the last lap, and that's why heavy-hearted we have decided not to appeal, because we wouldn't have got the right result back. Now I think it's time for the right tales to make it better going forward, and we will be holding the FIA and decision makers accountable. All eyes are now on the FIA's newly elected president, Mohammed Ben Salman, taking the job and setting up and overseeing the commission. New details have emerged on what it might take, but Wolff said it has to do a proper job. Now, having been withdrawn the appeal as part of the response, Mercedes will no doubt try to ensure it does. I expect the commission to not only come up with words but with actions, said Wolff, and we will hold them accountable for actions, because we cannot continue in a sport the way it is. The sport was decided by entertainment, not fair racing, and therefore clear measures need to be in place before the start of the next season so every driver can understand what's going on. He stressed it's not just about Abu Dhabi but the bigger picture. It's a wider problem, because if you look at all the controversies most of the year, it's about decisions, sporting decisions on the track, and consistently the executions of the regulations on the track. It's one thing to drive hard and another to have differences of opinion. It's in the nature of the game, but inconsistent decision making leads to controversies, leads to polarisation, and that was the ground for many of the totally unnecessary controversies on track. So the FIA needs to decide how they are going to go forward. We had good dialogues with the FIA over a few days. The commission that's been set in place, I have trust and will formulate together with all of our competitors and the drivers and the other teams to make sure we avoid these sorts of scenarios in the future, he continued. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Don't your thoughts, comments down below. Following up with the swing description below for daily football news, and subscribe to my channel on screen right now. It'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.